Representative Money, thank you for being here with me today. Now, you filed a bill relating to solar and wind energy producers, House Bill 3017. What would the bill change?
Yeah, basically, I think that Texas needs to continue to lead America in energy production. The prosperity of any society is dependent on cheap and reliable energy production. It's what we need for industry, but it's also just what we want in our homes, right? Cheap and reliable energy. When we flip on the light, it comes on. When we turn on the heat or the air conditioner, it comes on, and it costs us as little as possible. And what has happened over the years is because of the federal subsidies of wind and solar, it has distorted the market to the point where investment is coming in these renewable energies like wind and solar to the detriment of immediately dispatchable power, like coal, natural gas, oil, nuclear, other kinds of energy production. That, and frankly, all of those are cheaper, more reliable, and we can turn them on and off as we need. As people know, solar and wind, solar only works when the sun's shining, wind only works when the wind is blowing. And just economically, without these huge subsidies that come from taxpayers, it's really not a viable form of energy. So we just need to level the playing field and put it back into the market's hands to determine what our needs are.
Now, I just want to be, just to clarify, how much would this tax be for the average energy producer?
So really, it's a pretty simple one-page bill. It just says that they need to report how much federal taxpayer money they are receiving, and we are going to impose a state tax of that exact same amount.
So the exact same amount you said?
Correct.
And it's my understanding that this would apply to energy producers, solar and wind, producing over 1 megawatt. Why choose that number specifically in the bill?
Yeah, I don't want to address people that have solar panels on their home or on their barn or on their small business that provides backup power, or in some cases, um, their primary source of power for their home. What I'm talking about is commercial electric generators. What this bill aims to do is to level the playing field and allow the market to decide what type of energy that Texas has, and then for the market to meet those needs. And I think that what we will see is cheaper, more reliable energy as a result.
And what would you say to those, though, who say that a bill like this will result in will discourage companies from investing here in Texas?
Well, that may be the case, but we want to discourage people to invest in Texas in technologies that we don't need, or that are not, how do I want to say this? We want to discourage people from investing in ways that is not in the best interest of Texas. And so a lot of people in my district are very concerned about the proliferation of wind farms, of these vast solar farms. They become an environmental hazard. They become a visual blight. And they are a constant reminder that the federal taxpayer dollars are propping these things up.
I'm curious, if I heard you correctly, you said that wind farms were an environmental hazard, if I heard you right. What makes you
Correct.
say that?
There's a lot of studies out there. I mean, what it does to birds, what it does to livestock. Also, when they have to be decommissioned, there's no way to break that down and recycle those materials. They just sit out in a field. They also, wind and solar, generally, they're thought of as being environmentally friendly, but they use resources that are very difficult to mine, that are not particularly environmentally friendly. And in fact, the wind producers have a larger carbon footprint themselves than they can ever overcome. And once again, I want to make it clear, I am not against wind and solar, harnessing wind energy or solar energy for electric generation. I think that's perfectly fine. What I am against is distorting the market with taxpayer dollars to the point that it incentivizes more expensive, less reliable power to the detriment of cheaper, more reliable power.
And you mentioned your belief that wind and solar are not good for the environment. A lot of people will say, though, that materials like coal or fossil fuels are not good for the environment as well. In fact, they're worse. What would you say to those concerns?
I would say that we have been generating power cheaply and reliably for more than a century with those kinds of power. The technology to keep the air clean has continuously improved. And also, we are in an energy race with China that is building tremendous amounts of coal plants, and they do not have nearly the environmental regulations that we have. That is distorting that market. And so at the same time, they are doing environmental damage by creating cheap, reliable energy for them. They are selling us the components for unreliable, expensive energy here in Texas. And we just need to level this market out.
I've spoken with some lawmakers here in Texas in the past who have advocated, an all the above energy approach, creating jobs in various sectors of energy. It sounds like you disagree with that to an extent.
Oh, absolutely not. I think that we
No.
should have an all of the above approach. What I disagree with is taxpayer subsidy. Let the energy market meet the energy demand that we have. Here in Texas, it is expected that we are going to, I think ERCOT came out last year and said that power demand could nearly double between now and 2030 with the rise of data centers and all of these other power using industries, plus just the population growth that we are experiencing. We need to meet that demand, and I am fine with an all of the above approach. What I don't think we should do is use tremendous amount of federal taxpayers' dollars to distort the market in favor of certain types of energy to the detriment of other types of energy. Let them compete in the market fairly. And if we can compete with hydroelectric, wind electric, solar electric, and if they can compete in the market with new technologies, then outstanding. That's fantastic. But let's not do it by making the taxpayers foot the bill.
Now, you mentioned your belief that this will level the playing field. What tax, just for our audience to know, what taxes are currently imposed on other types of energy producers, whether it be coal or other means, as you mentioned?
I'm probably not the best person to say that. I do know that a large portion of Texas state government is paid for through the oil and gas industry. So we clearly are making money off of royalties and taxes, and whether it's gasoline taxes or otherwise. But the specific thing that my bill is targeted at is this distorting of the energy generation market, where we are prioritizing wind and solar. I think I have something here. I think since 2023, or in 2023, wind and solar combined accounted for more than a quarter of the state's electricity generation. And in the recent years, a huge percentage of our new electric generation has come from wind and solar sectors of that. And all of us should be able to remember in 2021, during the winter when we almost lost our power grid. And since then, instead of prioritizing dispatchable power that we can turn on at any time of day or night when it gets too cold or too hot, we have instead prioritized the kind of energy that we have to wait and allow God to turn on and off. And I just think that is not the proper way to build a reliable grid.
I'm curious. You mentioned it's been prioritized, but you say 25% has been solar and wind energy. The other 75% is other means of energy generation. That's the majority, is it not?
No, it is the majority. What I'm saying is we continue to invest more and to grow the wind and solar. I was giving you the point in time as far as in 2024, 27.3% of our energy was solar and wind. That number continues to increase. The percentage of solar and wind continues to increase because the federal government has incentivized those to the point that it's much more profitable. Once again, not profitable because the market makes it profitable, but profitable because the federal subsidies make it profitable.
Do you feel this law is necessary with the change of administration between Biden and President Donald Trump?
Well, I certainly expect that President Trump is going to put an end or at least a chilling effect on the green energy initiatives from the federal government. But, you know, as a Texas policymaker, I want to make sure that Texas has policies that work regardless of who the president is. And so we need to make sure Texas is the only state that has its own grid. And so we are responsible to ensure that that grid is reliable and that the energy that we are producing is affordable for the people of Texas. And so that's why I'm bringing this forward.
And have you heard specifically from businesses in your district who have advocated for a bill like this?
I wouldn't say businesses. I would say that I've talked with a lot of citizens and voters who love this bill. It's something I talked about over the months leading into this legislative session, and I've gotten a lot of encouragement from other lawmakers, but also from people within the district. Once again, you know, people in Hunt, Hopkins, and Van Zandt County want their power to be cheap and reliable, and they don't want the federal government distorting the market.
And while I have you here, you know, another energy bill was recently put forward by an East Texas representative. Representative Daniel Alders put forward a bill that would create a constitutional amendment prohibiting a carbon tax in Texas. I'm curious to get your thoughts on that bill.
I haven't read that bill specifically, but I'm against a carbon tax. I'm against. I'm against all of these kind of social engineering of environmental policy. And you know, I think by and large, the global warming, climate change alarm, and man-made global warming, man-made climate change is made up. And I think that we are trying to solve problems that don't really exist in real life. And so I'm in favor of his ban. I'm looking at other energy related legislation as well, and would be happy to work with him on that.
Just want to be clear for our viewers, that was a joint resolution, not a bill. Anyway,
Okay.
Representative Money, is there anything else you would like for our audience to know about House Bill 3017?
No, I just would say to your audience, if you like cheap, reliable energy that the market ensures that supply meets the demand, then you will like my bill. If you are a green energy producer who relies on taxpayers to provide profitable business that would not exist but for the taxpayers of the country, then you're not going to like my bill.